Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mission Plus channel. We're gonna go ahead and get started with Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mission Plus YouTube channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Mishti and I'm a first generation Indian American living here in Atlanta. In honor of India's Independence Day, which is right around the corner, I'll be sharing some of my favorite family recipes, so be sure to like and subscribe. So today we're going to be making Mishti Doi, which is a very popular dessert in the West Bengal region of India as well as in Bangladesh. Mishti Doi literally translates from Bengali to mean sweet yogurt. For a dessert that's called sweet yogurt, it's actually not as sweet as you think it would. It has just the slightest amount of sweetness. You keep wanting to come back more for it because it's just so light on your stomach and it tastes really good and yeah. Before we begin, I did want to clarify that this is not a traditional Mishti Doi recipe. It is definitely kind of hard to get a hold of some of the ingredients that are traditionally used in Mishti Doi. So is this a traditional Mishti Doi recipe? No. But will the end product taste like Mishti Doi? Absolutely. Traditionally in Mishti Doi, it calls for something called jaggery, but the reason why we will not be using jaggery is because it's not like a uniform product, because it's just such a combination of all these different sugars. It doesn't necessarily always sit well with the yogurt mixture. Just to kind of make sure that everything blends together easily, we're going to be using dark brown sugar. So I'm going to start off by using a third of a cup of brown sugar, and then next I'm going to add about 14 ounces of condensed milk. And if you like your Mishti Doi a little bit thicker, then you can feel free to use more condensed milk and a little less sugar, but it is totally up to you. So to the condensed milk and the dark brown sugar, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. You'll notice that vanilla extract is not an ingredient that is native to Indian cooking, but because we are using American style yogurt, vanilla extract is gonna kind of help mask that tanginess. Now I'm just gonna stir my dark brown sugar, my condensed milk, as well as the vanilla extract. Okay, so now I'm gonna add in my yogurt. So today we're gonna be using whole milk yogurt, but I've also made this with low-fat yogurt as well. The only difference is that with low-fat yogurt, once the Mishti Doi sets, there's like a greater chance of there being like a layer of like water on top. So I would just prefer to use a thicker yogurt. All right, so once you add the yogurt, we're gonna go ahead and whisk it. And then you also wanna make sure that the dark brown sugar has, for the most part, dissolved into our Mishti Doi batter. So off camera, I went ahead and adjusted my yogurt and sugar ratios. So now I'm gonna have my handy dandy producer, Maddie, try some of the batter before we go ahead and put it in the oven. Oh. What do you think?
That's really good.
Pretty? Oh my gosh.
It's ready.
Yes. We're going to be using these like mini clay pots because that's traditionally how they're served in East India and Bangladesh. When you pour it in, I like to kind of go all the way just kind of up there. You definitely don't want it to go all the way to the top. Terracotta is native to that particular region of the world, and so you'll notice that a lot of times they would use this type of like earthenware to serve dishes in, to cook dishes in. Also, if you don't have these like clay pots, then by all means you can totally use ramekins. At this point, you must have noticed that we didn't really discuss preheating options or anything like that. And I actually did that on purpose. So for this recipe, you do not need to preheat your oven. And that's because if you do preheat your oven and then try to put the Mishti Doi mixture inside, it's actually going to cause the yogurt to curdle. With that being said, we're gonna put the mixture in first and then set the oven. Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is before we put the Mishti Doi mixture in, we're actually going to, you want to make sure you adjust your wire racks. So the ideal spot for the Mishti Doi in a typical convection oven is going to be the middle rack. So for example, like you can see the racks here, we have one all the way up here and all the way down here. So what we're actually going to do is just go ahead and adjust the racks to the middle portion before we actually go ahead and put the our clay pots in. So put these in here. Now that we've put the Mishti Doi in the oven, it is time to set the preheat. So ideally, you can preheat your oven at anywhere between like 160 and 180 degrees Fahrenheit. The lower the better, because the lower your oven temperature, the less likely your Mishti Doi is gonna overcook. So for today, we're gonna set it at 170. And then at the 1 hour mark, I am going to take out the Mishti Doi and see how far along we are, and then kind of just make the judgment call from there as to whether we're gonna leave it in for a little bit longer or just let it set at room temperature. Okay, so it's been about an hour. So we're just gonna go ahead and check on them. So there's no actual way to tell whether they're done or not. You kind of just have to wiggle them around a little bit and just kind of see where they're at. I am going to turn off the oven and then I'm just gonna let it sit in that 170 degree temperature for, I wanna say like 5 to 10 more minutes, and then we'll just let it cool at room temperature for the rest of the time. Okay, so it's time to check on our babies. As you can see, they're like the perfect color that we want them to be at. I like tried to do a bit of a jiggle test, and the viscosity is kind of exactly where I want it to be. So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of leave them aside to cool down completely to room temperature. And then we are going to transfer them over to the fridge and let them kind of sit for about an hour to overnight in the fridge, and then they will be all ready to go. Alrighty, so I just checked on our Mishti Doi and it has completely set to room temperature. So at this point, I am just gonna put this in the fridge, and it'll take about 30 minutes to set, but you can also totally put it overnight. And then yeah, we're gonna check on it in a little bit. Time for the taste test. It is like that perfect kind of off-white, like ivory color that we're looking for. It's the moment of truth. So you guys can see that the Mishti Doi has perfectly set. It's like just the right amount of jiggle, and it's the exact consistency that we want it to be. So we're gonna try it. Oh my gosh, you guys. It is so smooth and it's the perfect amount of sweetness. And if you guys get a chance to, definitely try it out. It's literally only 4 ingredients: condensed milk, yogurt, vanilla extract, and brown sugar. And it'll really take you back to being in Bengal.